In this video, we'll be taking a look at the macros on the Maschine MK3. We'll discuss the advantages of setting up macros on a group of sounds and how quickly we can do this using the touch-sensitive encoders, and also bring in some of the perform effects and lock mode features to help us create some live transitions on the fly. So I've got a series of sounds set up on this group, playing back a 2-bar sequence, and at group level I've got a number of different effects loaded in. I want to start to get a bit more hands-on with these effects to start creating some variations on this loop and add a little bit more interest to it. For starters, I've got the stutter perform effects, where the touch strip is automatically mapped to the length of this stutter effect, used in combination with the pitch. It's pretty cool. I've also got a beat delay. We're bringing up the mix, really adds some energy to the loop as well as increasing the feedback. And at the end of this series of 3 effects, I've got a high pass filter. So I'm thinking if I start to increase some of the delay, I can then start to filter it. So I thought about the order of the effects here as well by placing the delay after the perform effects. It means the perform effects is delayed in the signal path. To increase some of the feedback, and so to enhance the performance of what I'm doing with these effects, it's quite difficult jumping from one plugin to the next. Well, there's only 1 or 2 parameters on each one of these plugins that I'm really going to be using. And that's why the macros are so useful in this situation. So let's reset those values and bring the cutoff frequency back down of the filter. So we'll start with this perform effects. As long as I have the perform effects on, the touch strip is going to affect the length right here. But what I'd like to do is add this pitch to a macro. I'm going to set the macros at group level rather than the sound level, and that's important to note when we go to our macros that we not set them up on sound level by accident, and being on the group level they won't appear. So let's go back to our plugin, and we can access the macro page by just clicking on the macro button. However, once we've got our plugin in focus, to add some macros to this plugin, we hold shift and macro, and then it becomes the macro set. And I can simply touch on the touch sensitive encoders here, and I've applied the pitch, and you can see the little macro button has appeared there to let us know that it's been applied to a macro. And now if you go to your macros, you can see the pitch of the stutter effect is right there. So now let's go to our beat delay and set some macros on here. So again I go shift, macro set, and I add the mix of the beat delay and also the feedback. Back to my plugins, I'm going to go to the filter here, macro set the cutoff, and why not the resonance as well. Now I can go into my macros here, and I have all these controls on one page, and it makes that performance much easier. It still makes it difficult to create an effective transition because I can't drop all these values down to 0 at the same time. Although the perform effects intuitively just turns off as soon as you let go of the touch strip, I've still got that delay on there, and I've still got the cutoff frequency swept up. So let's enhance this workflow one step further by using the lock mode. So the lock mode will take a snapshot of everything that's happening on the MK3 controller, and once we exit the lock mode, it snaps everything back to how it was previously. So this is the drop effectively of our loop. Let's now enter lock mode and do that same workflow, applying those effects. Bring in some of the delay, bring up the feedback, maybe squeak some of the low frequency out, and now let's start bringing in the perform effects, the stutter effect. Pitch it up, increase the delay, increase the feedback, sweep the cutoff. Now let's exit lock mode. And it snaps everything back to how it was previously and just makes that workflow a little bit more powerful, using the macros very intuitively, very quickly setting them up with the touch sensitive encoders, bringing all of your main plugins and the parameters you really want to tweak and work on to one page, and then use the lock mode to create effective transitions on the fly.